Ladies and gentlemen, all right, let me take a deep breath and dive into this. Now, I want you to understand something. Consistency is not just a word. It's not just something you read about in a self-help book and then move on to the next chapter. Consistency is a lifestyle. It's a decision you make every single day of your life to get up, show up, and put in the work even when you don't feel like it. You see, a lot of people think success comes from these big, flashy moments, those grand gestures that get all the attention. But in reality, success is built in the quiet, everyday moments when you decide to keep pushing, even when nobody's looking. Now, you might be thinking, but it's hard. I get tired. I get discouraged. Sometimes I don't see the results right away. Why should I keep going? And I get it. I understand that struggle. But let me tell you something. It's in those very moments of struggle where your future success is being forged. The world doesn't reward you for the days you feel good. It rewards you for the days you decide to show up anyway, even when you don't feel like it. The truth is, everybody has dreams. Everybody has aspirations. Everybody has something they want to achieve. But very few people have the guts, the grit, and the discipline to show up day after day, no matter how hard it gets. Consistency is what separates the dreamers from the doers. You can dream all you want, but if you're not consistent, your dream will stay a dream, will stay a dream. You have to force yourself to be consistent, force yourself to do the work when it's easy and when it's tough. Force yourself to keep going even when you hit roadblocks. Force yourself to wake up early, stay late, and sacrifice things in the short term so that you can reap the rewards in the long term. That's the secret. There's no magic pill for success. It's not about talent or luck. It's about being consistent. And I'm telling you, the best part about consistency is that it's a choice. It's something you can control. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not going to be easy. Nobody's saying it's going to be sunshine and rainbows every day. But when you commit to consistency, you're choosing to trust the process. You're choosing to believe that if you show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, that something great is going to happen. Now, I know some of you are thinking, I've been consistent and I haven't seen any results yet. Let me tell you, these results don't always show up immediately. But that doesn't mean they're not coming. The work you put in today is setting you up for the success you'll experience tomorrow, next month, and next year. You can't expect to plant a seed and then dig it up the next day to see if it's grown. No, you plant the seed, you water it, and you wait, but you also keep watering it every single day, even when you can't see the roots beneath the surface. That's what consistency is all about. Now, let's talk about motivation for a second. I know a lot of people wait for that inspiration to strike. They want to feel motivated before they start working. They think motivation is what's going to get them to the finish line. But let me tell you something, motivation comes and goes. Some days you'll feel like you can conquer the world, and other days you won't feel like getting out of bed. If you're relying on motivation to get you through, you're setting yourself up for failure. Consistency doesn't care about how you feel today. Consistency says, I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're frustrated. I don't care if you're not feeling it. You're going to do it anyway. And here's the thing about doing it anyway, it becomes easy over time. You start building a habit, and that habit becomes a part of who you are. It's like going to the gym. At first, it's tough. You don't see the results right away. But after a few weeks, you start noticing the changes. You feel stronger, healthier, and more energized. It wasn't the motivation that got you there. It was the consistency. Let's talk about that word. For some of you are probably thinking, I don't want to force myself to do something. That sounds miserable, but here's the reality. You have to force yourself to do the things you don't want to do, because that's how you grow. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. If you're always waiting for things to feel right, to feel easy, you'll never get anywhere. You have to force yourself to do the uncomfortable things. You have to force yourself to keep going when everything inside you is screaming to stop. Why? Because on the other side of that discomfort is something great. It's that success you've been dreaming about, but it's not going to just fall in your lap. You've got to reach for it. And reaching for it requires pushing through the uncomfortable moments, the hard days, the days when you don't feel like it. That's the power of consistency. Consistency doesn't mean you're going to get everything right all the time. No one is perfect. And trust me, I'm the first person to tell you that. You're going to mess up. You're going to have days when you drop the ball. You might even have weeks where you're off track. But you know what? That's okay. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect. It means getting back on track when you fall off. It's about showing up even when you've messed up and saying, okay, let me try again today. It's about the long game. You don't win in the short term by being perfect. You win in the long term by getting back up every single time you fall. And when you get back up, you're stronger, wiser, and more determined. So don't be discouraged by your mistakes. Be encouraged by the fact that you're still here, still fighting, still showing up. Another thing about consistency is that it builds trust. Not just trust with other people, but trust with yourself. When you're consistent, you prove to yourself that you can count on you. You don't need anyone else to motivate you. You don't need anyone else to hold your hand. You've developed a relationship with yourself that says, I trust myself to do what I say I'm going to do, and that's powerful. Because when you can trust yourself, that's when you can really start to accomplish anything. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop wondering if you're good enough or capable enough. You stop letting doubt creep in. You know you're going to get it done because you've been consistent. You've shown up every day. You've done the work. And when you do the work, the results will follow. I want you to think about the people you admire, the people you look up to and say, man, they've got it all together. How did they do it? The truth is, they didn't get there overnight. They got there because they were consistent. They showed up day after day, even when things were tough, even when things weren't going the way they hoped. And the most successful people, they don't just have talent or luck, they have the discipline to keep pushing, to keep showing up, and to keep showing up, and to keep doing the work no matter what. It's the consistency that makes the difference. So here's the bottom line if you want to change your life, if you want to see real results, if you want to accomplish something big, you have to force yourself to be consistent. You have to make a commitment to yourself that no matter what, you will show up, do the work, and keep pushing forward. And let me tell you, the rewards will be worth it. You might not see the results today, but I promise you, if you stay consistent, you will see them. Your dreams will become your reality, but only if you stay consistent. It's not about how fast you go or how perfect you are. It's about how long you keep going. And if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like you can't do it, if you're feeling like you're not enough, just remember this: the only difference between where you are and where you want to be is consistency. Keep showing up, keep doing the work. Keep forcing yourself even when it's hard. And I promise you, you will see the change, you will see the results. You will achieve the success that you've been working for. So get up, get moving, and force yourself to be consistent. It's the only way to win. Success isn't built on motivation or talent alone. It's built on consistently showing up and doing the work every single day, even when you don't feel like it. The power of consistency is in making the conscious decision to keep going, no matter the circumstances. Growth happens when you push through discomfort and force yourself to do what's difficult or uncomfortable. Success doesn't come from waiting for motivation. It comes from forcing yourself to act, even when it's tough. Pushing through resistance builds resilience and leads to growth. Success doesn't happen overnight. The results you seek are a product of consistent effort over time. Even if you don't see immediate outcomes, the work you put in today is setting you up for future success. Trust the process, stay committed, and the results will come. By being consistent, you build a relationship of trust with yourself. When you show up day after day and follow through on your commitments, you prove to yourself that you can rely on your own discipline and determination, leading to greater self-confidence and empowerment. When we talk about consistency, we're not just talking about a fleeting decision or a passing thought. Consistency at its core is a conscious and deliberate choice that you make every single day. It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike or for conditions to be perfect. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and pushing yourself to keep going, even when the road gets tough or when life throws obstacles in your way. Consistency is not a part-time thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of living that demands discipline, patience, and a level of commitment that goes beyond just a desire to succeed. You can't choose to be consistent when it's convenient or when things are going well. You have to choose to be consistent every day, no matter how you feel, no matter what challenges you face. Now, let's think about this concept of consistency as a lifestyle. What does that actually mean? It means making consistency a part of who you are. It becomes your default mode, your autopilot. When consistency is a lifestyle, it's no longer something you have to force yourself to do. It's something that comes naturally because it's woven into the fabric of your routine. Every action you take, every decision you make, every habit you form is aligned with the goal of staying consistent. You are no longer looking for shortcuts or easy paths because you understand that the long-term rewards of consistency outweigh any quick fixes or temporary satisfaction. Being consistent is not about perfection either. It's not about getting everything right or following through flawlessly every time. If that were the case, none of us would ever be consistent because we're all human and we all slip up. Being consistent doesn't mean you won't make mistakes or have setbacks. What it does mean is that when you do fall short, you don't give up. You don't throw in the towel and say, well, I've messed up, so why bother trying anymore? No, when you're living a consistent lifestyle, you get back on track. You dust yourself off and keep moving forward. You realize that it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, doing the work, and making steady progress over time. And when you embrace that mindset, you start to see the bigger picture. Success isn't about the perfect moment or the perfect performance. It's about the sum of your consistent efforts, day in and day out. There's a reason why people who achieve great things, whether in business, sports, or any other field, are often described as relentless. It's not just their talent or intelligence that sets them apart. It's their ability to be consistent, to keep pushing, even when the results aren't immediately obvious. They understand that consistency compounds over time. The effort they put in today might not seem like much, but it builds on yesterday's effort and the day before that. And eventually that compounded effort leads to breakthrough results that others may not see coming. But the truth is, the results didn't come overnight. They came from consistent action, day after day, year after year. Let's dive into why consistency is such a powerful choice. When you choose to be consistent, you're essentially choosing to take responsibility for your success. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances or waiting for someone else to hand you an opportunity. You are creating your own opportunities. You are determining your own destiny. It's no longer about hoping for a miracle or wishing for things to get better. It's about taking deliberate steps towards your goals and knowing that every small action you take today is bringing you one step closer to your dreams. You're in the driver's seat of your life, and consistency is the engine that moves you forward. There's an empowering sense of control that comes with being consistent. When you make consistency a priority, you stop relying on external factors to dictate your success. You no longer wait for motivation to show up or for the perfect time to act. Instead, you take consistent, intentional actions regardless of how you feel or what's going on in your life. This sense of agency is incredibly powerful because it allows you to take ownership of your results. You may not always be able to control everything around you, but you can control your actions. And that's what consistency gives you: control over your own destiny. But let's be real for a second. Living a consistent lifestyle is not always easy. In fact, it's often the opposite of easy. It's hard to keep showing up day after day when things aren't going your way, when progress feels slow, or when you don't see immediate results. It's hard to stay focused when life throws distractions your way or when you feel like giving up. But here's where the power of consistency really shines. It's in those hard moments that consistency pays off the most. When you're willing to push through the difficult times, when you're willing to keep going even when you don't feel like it, that's when you separate yourself from everyone else. That's when you show your true character. Consistency isn't about doing things when they're easy, it's about doing them when they're hard. Think about the process of building a muscle. If you want to get stronger, you don't just lift weights once and expect to see results. No, you have to show up to the gym day after day, putting in the work, gradually increasing the weight and intensity over time. At first, it's uncomfortable. It's painful. Your muscles are sore, and the progress feels slow. But over time, that consistent effort starts to pay off. The muscle gets stronger and the results start to show. It's the same with everything else in life, whether it's building a business, improving your health, or developing new skills. The results don't come from one burst of effort. They come from showing up day in and day out, doing the work, even when it feels tough, and sticking with it through the challenges. One of the most powerful aspects of consistency is that it builds momentum. Momentum is that feeling of unstoppable forward movement. It's the energy that comes when you've been working consistently towards something, and you start to feel like things are clicking into place. Momentum is what keeps you going when the initial excitement fades, when the novelty wears off, and when the obstacles start to feel like they're piling up. When you've been consistent, you've built the habits, routines, and discipline necessary to keep moving forward, even when you don't feel particularly inspired or motivated. Momentum is like the wind at your back, pushing you forward even when the road is tough. And the best part is, momentum doesn't come from waiting for it to magically appear. It comes from your consistent effort, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem at the time. Another reason why consistency is such a powerful choice is that it teaches you to be patient. We live in a world where instant gratification is the norm. We want results right now. We want quick fixes. But true success doesn't happen that way. Success is the result of steady, consistent effort over time. And that requires patience. You have to be willing to put in the work without seeing immediate results. You have to trust that if you keep showing up, the results will eventually come. It's like planting a tree. You don't plant a seed today and expect a fully grown tree tomorrow. You plant the seed, water it, nurture it, and wait. It takes time. But when the tree starts to grow and you start to see the fruits of your labor, it's all worth it. So how do you make consistency a lifestyle? It starts with committing to small daily actions that align with your goals. It's about creating habits that move you in the direction you want to go. And it's about accepting that there will be days when you don't feel like it, when things aren't going your way, and when you're tempted to quit. But instead of giving in to those feelings, you push through. You make the decision to show up anyway. You make the decision to be consistent, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, and even when you don't see the results right away. That's what separates the people who achieve their dreams from those who don't. It's not talent, luck, or intelligence that makes the difference. It's the decision to be consistent no matter what. It's the choice to make consistency a lifestyle, a daily habit, and a mindset that guides you toward your ultimate goals. And once you make that choice, once you embrace consistency as a way of life, there's nothing that can stop you. You know, one of the hardest things you'll ever have to learn in life is how to force yourself to do the hard things. It's easy to do the things you enjoy, the things that come naturally, or the things that bring you instant satisfaction. But life isn't about the easy stuff. It's about the tough stuff, the stuff that pushes you to grow, to stretch beyond your limits, to dig deep into your potential and become the person you were meant to be. And here's the hard truth: doing the hard things is what will separate you from everyone else. It's what will take you from ordinary to extraordinary. We all have days when we don't feel like doing the work. There are times when it feels like the mountain in front of us is too high to climb, when the weight of our responsibilities feels like it's too much to bear, and when we just want to throw in the towel and say, forget it, I'm done. But here's the thing: you can't let those moments define you. You can't let the tough days dictate how you show up for your life, because whether you like it or not, those hard moments are what will shape you. They are the tests of your strength, your character, and your resolve. The only question is, will you rise to meet them, or will you let them defeat you? Forcing yourself to do the hard things is the key to achieving anything of significance. Whether you're trying to build a business, improve your health, get better at your craft, or become a better version of yourself, it all boils down to pushing through the difficult moments. You can't wait for motivation to show up or for the right moment to come. You have to take control. You have to be the one who says, I don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. You have to be the one who decides in that moment of discomfort to push through. That's how you grow. That's how you build strength. The truth is, nobody achieves greatness by doing what's easy. The people who stand out in this world, the ones who achieve the kind of success that turns heads, are the ones who have the discipline to do the hard things. They don't shy away from the work just because it's tough. They don't wait for the stars to align or for the perfect conditions to show up. They just do it. They take the hard road day in and day out. And because they're willing to push through, they reap the rewards that others will never see. The idea of forcing yourself to do the hard things goes against everything we're conditioned to believe. We live in a world that glorifies comfort and instant gratification. We're constantly told that we should do what feels good, that we should chase pleasure, and that we should avoid discomfort at all costs. But let's be clear, if you live your life chasing comfort, you will never achieve anything meaningful. You won't get the results you want. You won't push the boundaries of your potential. And most importantly, you'll never experience the sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing you gave it everything you had, even when it was hard. So why is it so hard to do the difficult things? Why do we resist the very things that will help us grow? It's simple. The brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. It's human nature to gravitate toward ease and comfort because that's what keeps us safe. But growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Success doesn't happen when you're just coasting through life, doing the things that come easy. Success comes from doing the hard things, whether it's getting up early to work on your dreams, saying no to distractions, or pushing through when you feel like quitting. It comes from deciding that even when the going gets tough, you will keep going. Now, let's talk about the reality of forcing yourself to do the hard things. This isn't about being a masochist or torturing yourself for the sake of it. It's not about making life harder than it needs to be. It's about recognizing that discomfort is a necessary part of growth. If you want to level up in any area of your life, you have to be willing to put in the hard work. You have to be willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do. You have to be willing to do the things that make you uncomfortable, because those are the things that will push you to grow, to evolve, and to become the person you're meant to be. Forcing yourself to do the hard things is about building resilience. It's about developing the mental toughness to keep going even when you don't feel like it. Because let's face it, there will be days when you feel like throwing in the towel. There will be days when you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and the task ahead of you feels impossible. But those are the moments when you have to dig deep. Those are the moments when you have to remind yourself that greatness isn't achieved by avoiding the hard things. It's achieved by doing them. Every time you choose to push through a difficult moment, you build resilience. You prove to yourself that you are capable of handling more than you thought. And here's the thing, the more you force yourself to do the hard things, the easier it gets. Not easy in the sense that the task becomes less difficult, but easier in the sense that you become stronger. You become more accustomed to discomfort. You learn to thrive in difficult situations. You stop shying away from challenges and instead you start leaning into them. It's like building muscle at first. It's tough and your body may even resist. But with time and consistent effort, you start to see progress. You get stronger. You get better. One of the biggest obstacles we face when trying to force ourselves to do hard things is the voice of self-doubt. The voice that tells us we're not good enough, that we don't have what it takes, or that it's not worth the effort. That voice will always be there. It's a natural part of the human experience. But here's the thing, you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to let that voice control your actions. Instead, you can choose to acknowledge the doubt and move forward anyway. You can choose to take action despite the fear. Because here's the secret: the only way to quiet that voice of self-doubt is by proving it wrong. And the only way to prove it wrong is by doing the hard things anyway. Every time you push through, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. Doing the hard things isn't just about achieving a goal or reaching a destination. It's about the person you become along the way. It's about the growth, the strength, and the character that you build in the process. When you force yourself to do the hard things, you learn more about yourself than you ever could if you took the easy road. You learn what you're truly capable of. You discover a level of resilience, grit, and determination that you didn't know existed within you. And that, my friend, is where the real value lies. So, how do you force yourself to do the hard things? It starts with changing your mindset. You have to stop seeing discomfort as something to avoid and start seeing it as a sign that you're on the right path. You have to embrace the discomfort, lean into it, and recognize that it's a necessary part of growth. You also have to develop the habit of showing up no matter what. Even on the days when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when you'd rather be doing something else, you have to make the choice to do the work. And that's the key. It's all about choice. You choose to show up. You choose to do the hard things. You choose to take action, even when it feels uncomfortable. And with each choice, you build momentum. With each hard thing you push through, you get stronger, more resilient, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. But here's the most important thing to remember when you force yourself to do the hard things. You are not just working toward your goals, you are working toward becoming the best version of yourself. You are becoming the kind of person who doesn't back down in the face of challenges. You are becoming the kind of person who doesn't quit when things get tough. You are becoming someone who can be trusted to show up, no matter the circumstances. And that is the greatest reward of all. The idea that results take time is one of the most fundamental truths in life, but it's also one of the hardest lessons to embrace. In a world driven by instant gratification, where we can get almost anything we want at the push of a button, the concept of delayed results feels foreign, even frustrating. But here's the truth: the most meaningful, long-lasting achievements in life don't come from quick fixes or overnight success. They come from a process, a series of deliberate actions over time that lead to growth and transformation. Trust in the process isn't just about waiting for results to appear. It's about understanding that the work you put in today is laying the foundation for future success. It's about believing that every small step forward, even when you don't see immediate results, is building momentum. Trust in the process means having faith that as long as you keep moving forward, the outcomes will come, even if they're not visible yet. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to stay committed to your goals, even when it feels like progress is slow or non-existent. Think about any significant achievement you've ever experienced in life, whether it's building a career, losing weight, mastering a skill, or nurturing a relationship. In each of those instances, the result didn't happen overnight. It wasn't instantaneous. You didn't wake up one day and have everything you wanted just handed to you. No, you worked for it. You showed up day after day, putting in the effort, sometimes without seeing any tangible rewards. But over time, the results came. The effort accumulated, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, and suddenly you were living the result of everything you had been working toward. That's the power of time and persistence. That's why trust in the process is so essential. One of the biggest obstacles to trust in the process is impatience. We want things to happen quickly. We see someone else's success and we want that same level of achievement right now. It's easy to look at the finished product and forget about the journey it took to get there. But the truth is, success is not an event, it's a journey. It's not something that happens in an instant, but something that unfolds over time. The people we admire, the ones we look up to for their accomplishments, are often the ones who have spent years working toward their goals, learning from their failures, and refining their skills. They've gone through the process step by step with the understanding that success is the result of consistent effort over time. When we start a new project or embark on a new goal, the excitement of the beginning can carry us through for a while. But sooner or later, we hit a plateau, the initial enthusiasm starts to fade, and the hard work becomes a grind. This is the point where most people give up. They stop trusting the process because they can't see immediate results, and they assume that the lack of visible progress means they're doing something wrong. But this is exactly the moment where perseverance is most important. This is when you have to trust that the work you're doing is paying off, even if it doesn't seem like it. Every action you take, every effort you make is a brick in the foundation of your success. Even if you can't see the structure taking shape yet, it's being built, one small action at a time. A key element of trusting the process is learning how to embrace uncertainty. When you're working toward a goal, especially a long-term one, there's always an element of the unknown. You can't predict every step along the way, and you certainly can't predict exactly when you'll reach your destination. There will be twists and turns, setbacks and challenges. But here's the thing, you don't need to know exactly how everything will unfold. You just need to keep showing up and doing the work. Trusting the process means having faith that, despite the uncertainty, you're on the right path. It's about believing that the work you're doing now is laying the groundwork for what's to come. It's the belief that the effort will eventually translate into the results you're hoping for. Part of why people struggle to trust the process is that we live in a world that celebrates instant results. Social media, for example, is full of success stories that seem to happen overnight. Someone posts a photo of their six-figure business, their perfect body, their dream vacation, and it can make it feel like success is a simple formula that anyone can follow. But what you don't see is the years of work behind the scenes, the late nights, the failures, and the sacrifices that went into getting to that point. You see the highlight reel, not the behind-the-scenes struggle. But real success doesn't happen like that. The people who build something truly meaningful and lasting are the ones who put in the consistent effort over time. They don't get distracted by the quick wins or the shiny distractions. They stay focused on the process, understanding that results take time. The same principle applies to personal growth. Whether you're working on building better habits, developing emotional resilience, or improving your relationships, the process of growth takes time. You won't wake up one day and suddenly be the person you want to be. Change happens in small, incremental steps. It happens in the moments when you choose to act, even when it's difficult. It happens when you keep going, even when you don't feel like it. And over time, those small moments add up to significant transformation. But it's not something you can rush. Personal growth is a lifelong journey, and there will be moments when it feels like you're not making any progress at all. That's when trust in the process becomes crucial. You have to believe that as long as you continue to put in the work, change is happening beneath the surface. Eventually, you will look back and see how far you've come, even if it didn't feel like much in the moment. Another aspect of trust in the process is understanding that failure is part of the journey. The road to success is rarely a straight line. It's full of bumps, setbacks, and detours. And sometimes it can feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But here's the truth: failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Every mistake, every failure, every misstep is an opportunity to learn and grow. You can't avoid failure, but you can choose how you respond to it. If you choose to view failure as a stepping stone on the way to success, rather than as a reason to quit, then you'll be able to keep moving forward. Trusting the process means trusting that every failure, every setback, and every moment of doubt is a part of the path to success. It's not an indication that you're not good enough or that you should give up. It's simply part of the learning process. Sometimes trusting the process means stepping back and allowing things to unfold in their own time. We live in a culture that values hustle and constant activity. We're taught to push ourselves harder, to do more, to be more productive. But the reality is that sometimes the best thing you can do is give things time to develop. You don't need to force everything. There are seasons of growth that require patience, and sometimes the best results come when you allow things to unfold naturally. Trust in the process means knowing that you don't have to control every single detail. Sometimes all you need to do is stay consistent, stay focused, and let things unfold in their own time. Trusting the process also means staying grounded in your vision and not getting distracted by what others are doing. It's easy to compare yourself to others and wonder why they seem to be achieving results faster or more easily than you. But comparison is the thief of joy. It doesn't matter what someone else is doing. The only thing that matters is whether you're staying committed to your own process, your own journey. Stay focused on your own path and trust that if you keep putting in the work, the results will come. Comparing yourself to others only distracts you from the very thing that will help you achieve your goals, your own consistent effort. There's no shortcut to success, and there's no magic formula that will make results happen faster. The only way to achieve meaningful, lasting results is through consistent action over time. Trust in the process means understanding that results will come, even when you can't see them yet. It means believing that every step you take, no matter how small, is contributing to the bigger picture. And when you can embrace the process and have patience with yourself, you'll start to see the results of your hard work sometimes when you least expect it, but always in the right time. The key is to trust the process, stay committed, and keep moving forward because the results are waiting for you on the other side. When you start building something that matters, whether it's a career, a business, a personal goal, or a relationship, the most important foundation you can lay is trust. But here's the thing, this trust doesn't come from others, it comes from you. It comes from you being able to rely on yourself, being able to count on yourself to follow through, to do what you said you would do, even when it's tough. Consistency builds that trust. And let me tell you, if you can't trust yourself, if you can't rely on your own actions, then nothing else you try to build will stand. Trust with others, success in your goals, or the ability to achieve your dreams, those things all depend on the trust you've built with yourself. The reason consistency is so critical in this equation is simple. You can't develop trust overnight. Trust isn't something you earn from one act of brilliance, one inspired burst of energy. It's built slowly, piece by piece, through the choices you make day in and day out. Think about a relationship you have with someone else. You don't trust someone just because they've been nice to you once or twice. Trust is built through repeated actions over time. It's built when people do what they say they will do, when they show up again and again, even when things aren't easy. Trust comes from consistency, from reliability, from dependability. And the same is true when it comes to your relationship with yourself. If you want to build trust with yourself, you have to show up consistently. Do what you say you're going to do and honor your commitments even when it feels hard, even when you don't feel motivated, even when the results aren't visible yet. Building trust with yourself doesn't happen by accident. It's a conscious effort. It takes discipline. It takes self-awareness. It takes being honest with yourself about your actions and holding yourself accountable. It requires you to take a good, hard look at your habits, your routines, and your behaviors, and to make a decision to be better every day. And this is where consistency plays its biggest role. Because quite frankly, you will never be able to trust yourself if you're always starting and stopping, if you're constantly jumping from one goal to the next without any follow through. You can't trust yourself if you're inconsistent in your efforts or constantly making excuses for why you didn't do what you said you would do. It's when you commit to showing up, to doing the work, even when you don't feel like it, that you start to build that deep, unshakable trust in yourself. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you made promises to yourself that you didn't keep? Maybe you told yourself you'd start exercising regularly, or that you'd finally finish that book, or that you'd work on your personal development every day. And then after a few days, you fell off track. Maybe you let other distractions get in the way. Maybe you felt too tired or too busy. Or maybe you lost interest. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. You broke a promise to yourself. And every time you do that, it chips away at your self-trust. It sends a message to your subconscious that you can't rely on yourself. It tells you that you're not trustworthy, and eventually you start to believe it. That's the danger of inconsistency. It doesn't just stop you from reaching your goals, it also weakens your belief in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't trust yourself, then how can you expect to succeed? The good news is that you can rebuild that trust, and consistency is the key to doing it. Trust with yourself is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. The more you show up, the more you keep your word, the more you honor your commitments to yourself, the more you strengthen that trust. It's not going to happen overnight, but with each day that you consistently follow through, you're adding another layer of reliability to your foundation. And over time, as you keep making the effort, you'll begin to see the difference. You'll start to believe in your own ability to show up for yourself. You'll stop doubting your own actions, and that's when real change begins. Consistency is also what separates the people who achieve their dreams from those who don't. You see, success isn't about who has the most talent or the most potential. It's about who can be the most consistent. It's about who can stay in the game when the going gets tough, who can keep pushing forward even when they don't see immediate results. And that's why building trust with yourself through consistency is so powerful. When you show up consistently, you are telling yourself, I can do this, I can keep going, even when it's hard. I can finish what I start in that belief. That trust is what will carry you through the tough times, the moments when things seem impossible. It's that belief that will allow you to stick with it long enough to see the results, because you know that you can rely on yourself to keep going. When you build trust with yourself, you also give yourself permission to fail. Because let's be real, failure is inevitable. There will be days when you don't meet your own expectations, when you make mistakes, when things don't go as planned. But when you trust yourself, you give yourself the space to fail and to learn from those failures. You don't punish yourself for it. Instead, you see failure as part of the process. When you're inconsistent, you may give up entirely when you fail, telling yourself that you're not cut out for it. But when you build trust with yourself, you're able to bounce back. You're able to say, okay, I messed up. What can I learn from this? And you can keep going because you trust that one mistake doesn't define you. One setback doesn't undo all of the progress you've made. You trust that you can get back on track, that you can do better tomorrow, and that the journey is long enough to allow for growth and improvement. Consistency also builds your confidence. Think about it, the more you follow through on your commitments, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving your goals. Every time you take action, even when it's hard, you are reinforcing your own self-image as someone who gets things done, someone who can be trusted. And that confidence fuels more action. When you trust yourself, you take bolder steps. You go after bigger goals. You stop second-guessing yourself because you know deep down that you've got what it takes. The trust you build with yourself creates a solid foundation of belief that allows you to take risks, to step outside your comfort zone, and to make decisions with conviction. That's what creates momentum, the belief that if you've made it this far, you can go even further. But the thing about trust is that it doesn't come automatically. It doesn't just happen because you want it to. You have to earn it. You earn trust with yourself by being consistent, by showing up even when the excitement wears off, by doing the work even when it's not glamorous, by taking the small steps every day that will get you closer to your goals. Every time you follow through on your commitments, you send a message to your subconscious that you can be relied upon. And when that trust is built, you can count on yourself to stay the course, no matter how challenging it gets. This is why consistency is so much more than just a strategy for success. It's a key to unlocking the highest level of personal integrity and self-respect. It's a way of saying to yourself, I believe in me. When you're consistent, you stop making excuses. You stop blaming outside factors. You stop waiting for the right moment. You just do the work. And that's when you stop questioning your abilities. That's when you stop doubting yourself, because you know that you've proven time and time and time again that you are capable of doing what you set out to do. The more you commit to the process of consistency, the more you start to believe that anything is possible for you, and that belief transforms everything. There's an undeniable power in trusting yourself. When you build trust with yourself, you tap into an unshakable confidence that enables you to take on bigger challenges, to pursue bigger goals, and to overcome obstacles that would have stopped you in the past. You start to believe that you are worthy of success, that you are capable of achieving greatness, and that the life you envision for yourself is possible. That's the gift of consistency. It's the ability to look in the mirror and see someone who has earned their success. Someone who has fought for their dreams, who has shown up even when it was hard, and who has kept their promises to themselves no matter what. So, if you're wondering why you haven't achieved your goals yet, or why it feels like things aren't moving forward, ask yourself, can you trust yourself? Are you showing up consistently for your dreams, or are you starting and stopping? Are you honoring the commitments you've made to yourself? Because the road to success doesn't just require talent, intelligence, or resources. It requires trust, and trust is built one small, consistent step at a time. You have to prove to yourself day in and day out that you are the kind of person who follows through, who does the work, and who keeps moving forward no matter how long it takes. And when you do that, there's nothing that can stop you from achieving everything you set your mind to.